As gardeners at this time of the year, many of us are doing very similar things. However, I prefer to do things a little bit outside of the average plant pot. We are slap bang in the middle of bulb season, whether that is our edibles or our ornamentals. We are getting them out either into the ground or into containers. Now, we are, again, as gardeners, pretty frugal, and we do quite like to get hold of things which are a little bit unusual. So rather than doing the lasagna planting in a plant pot, what I'm actually going to use is this old wheelbarrow. Now, I already had some of this last year in this one, and as you can see, the weeds have pretty much taken over. So first thing I really need to do with this is actually clear these weeds out and see the state of the compost underneath and if there's any bulbs in there from last year. Now, this is lasagna planting, but not necessarily as we might normally do it. So this is decision time. I have managed to weed through this whole wheelbarrow, and there are a lot of weeds and also a lot of roots on this, which means that actually I'm not sure I really want to use this compost. It's not going to be wasted, it is going to go into the compost bin so that all of those roots can be well and truly rotted down in the heat and the moisture of the compost bin itself. What I have managed to do though is find an awful lot of bulbs, and not only bulbs, but quite successfully an awful lot of the bulbous as well. So the bulbous are the little bulbs which sort of develop and grow beside the main bulb, and those can go back into my new replenished wheelbarrow. So I'm going to get rid of this and then fill it up with some fresh compost. So now that that is sorted, there's no need for any crocks in the bottom of this. There is a hole in the bottom, and also this barrow is going to be slightly angled, so any drainage, there shouldn't be any problem, especially because it's actually elevated off the ground. Now's the time to actually look at my bulbs. So I have a whole variety in here. I have definitely got some hyacinths, which are quite chunky flowers, and I'm going to put those not quite in the middle because the height isn't going to be particularly tall. And I do have some of the tulips as well, which I am going to be positioning right in the middle because again they have that height. Now, normally when you actually do lasagna planting, you would have your different depths in a big round pot, and you'd have your bigger bulbs more sort of deeper than the other ones. Now, obviously with the shape of this wheelbarrow, the deeper part is in the middle, so I'm going to almost go in like a concentric circle around, and then I'm going to just position where I would like these bulbs. Usually you do sort of in sections of 3, especially if you're planting out in the ground, and that's going to help with that real sort of display. Now, not only do I have these bulbs, but I know that in the bulbs and the bulbous that I've dug out, I have some muscari, and again they're quite little and delicate, so they're going to go around the edges of this. I'm just going to position them exactly where I want them to start off with, and then I'm going to be actually digging them down, and when I'm digging them down, they're going to be at the right depth. So let's just position them to start off with. So now that I've actually positioned them exactly where I want them, it's going to be pretty full, this barrow, and in fact I've probably had enough to do a second barrow, and I do have another one of these as well. So I've got the flat side, which is where the roots are going to come out, the pointy side on a bulb, that's where your foliage and your flower is going to come up, and I'm just going to, just like you would with any kind of bulb that you're planting either in the ground or in pots, going to go down about 2 to 3 times the depth of the bulb itself and pop it in the soil there. And that's all I'm going to do with all of these until they are all really nicely bedded in. Once I've done this, I'm just going to give them a good water. Then I'm going to angle this beautiful little barrow of joy ready for the spring, and it should have an amazing display, which not only will it look good, but I'll also be able to move it wherever I want it as well, because quite handy, it's got a wheel on it. So lasagna planting, do something a little bit different. It doesn't have to be in your bog standard pots, it could be in anything.